everybody, and welcome back to Comic Talk Tuesday. I'm here with Zenko,
Hey
Manga
everybody.
Lady. Hey! So, how would you like to talk about your experience in doing comics? I got some of your art here.
Oh, ooh, nice choices. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff, huh?
And a lot of really recent stuff because I've
Yeah,
been
right. You
working so
always
much. I
want
haven't
people
done
to
a lot,
see the recent stuff for sure.
and I've been working on the end of Scatheless, so I've been in that and not working on this one, which I would much like to work on.
Yeah, I do remember you posting like at your progress while doing this background. It is crazy, man.
I had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, my hand hurts just looking at it.
Well, at least
It's
because
just
it's
like,
digital, I can like zoom in and just sort of. It's almost like a meditation, doing all the little hash marks. And I have to remember to stop at some point.
right, right. Your backgrounds have such a nice grit to them because of that, though.
Thanks. Thanks. Some of that I
I
think is the
think,
pen as well. Like I use a pen that has texture because I don't like the super clean ones. I like
oh,
that
yeah?
grit. Mhm.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. So, why don't you talk a little bit about Scatheless then?
Yeah, we're finally getting to the sort of end of Scatheless and um, trying to break the curse of all the kids. So there's a lot of fun drawing skulls in dark places and ghosts and things like that. But because I'm working, this chapter is going incredibly, incredibly slow. So whereas used to doing like 4 pages a day, I might get a couple of pages a week. So that's been a lot different. And I
Yeah.
have to go back and look at previous chapters to make sure everyone still looks the same and what they look like.
Yeah, right. It's so funny how like a design can like slowly get more and more
Mhm.
simplified as
Oh
you're
yeah,
drawing the pages more and more. It's almost like a good test for finding out if your character design works well in animation because you'll just
oh
keep on
absolutely.
simplifying and simplifying it, all the little details that don't matter.
Absolutely. I remember really early on in making comics that I would make really complicated characters, and after only a few pages, be like, oh no, this all these tattoos have to go. This jewelry needs simplifying. This is ridiculous because you have to draw it the same thing so many times, but you still want your character to be instantly recognizable. So
Yeah, they
you do
gotta
have
be
to keep it
iconic.
a certain amount of simple but specific to that character, and it'll help your life for sure.
Yeah, make it a little bit more simple on you in general.
Mhm. Yeah, because if you're going to be
So, do you
drawing one
enjoy
character a lot, go ahead.
do you enjoy doing backgrounds a lot? A lot of people in the comments are like commenting on how like neat the backgrounds look.
I love the backgrounds. Love the backgrounds. They're a lot of fun. And as I was saying before, it's like you can get kind of meditation with it. And just I'll set it up in the rough draft. So then all I have to think about while I'm working is that panel or that page, nothing else. And so I can go as you know deep in there as I want to go. And for a short story like this, I feel like the backgrounds are another character. They tell a large part of the story, and you can use them to tell your story, create your atmosphere, stuff like that. So not only do I enjoy them, but I think they're really important
Oh
to
yeah,
really set your mood.
100% true. I've spent like a large part of my comic making life being terrified of doing backgrounds.
That's
I'm not
understandable.
nearly as natural at them as other people tend to be. Now I'm trying to force myself to do the backgrounds, and I am starting to kind of get what people are talking about when they talk about
Yeah.
getting into this meditative state of drawing all the little details and interesting environments in the background.
And really bringing
So
it to life.
hopefully,
And the more, like, if you're drawing a real place, the more references you can get, the better. Like, this is actually a real gas station, like an hour or so from here. Um, but then putting your own twist on it, it doesn't look quite as menacing in real life. But I got like a Google thing. I was just going on Google Maps and Street View constantly looking at this place. I feel like I've
Oh
been there
yeah, a
now.
lot of people say that that is a good reference point. At least if you're doing like real places. If you're just
Hmm.
pulling from the imagination, you're gonna have to do a little bit more work.
Right. Right. Though even from imagination, I would take like your visual concepts and then go find a real life equivalent, and that will really inform your decision making and what you need to do. Because if you're just pulling it out of your mind, like no wonder you're intimidated. That's a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? It's a lot of information. For Scatheless, I
Yeah.
used Google to walk around Dublin and pick scenes and then to draw them. So I really recommend it.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I did? I made a concept of a castle and then I gave it to like somebody else to do like a kind of shoddy 3D model of it so that I
Hmm.
could practice, doing it in different
There
angles.
you
And
go.
the funny part is that castle only really appears in book one, so it's like
Hey, but you always have it now. You can always visit
it,
it and get whatever view your imagination wants.
yeah, yeah. It's not really that hard to, if you're working on like perspective things, it's not that hard to
Hmm.
take a 3D like shape of just a cube and
Hmm.
use that as reference for drawing a house per se.
Right.
And of course, Clip Studio Assets, they got a bunch of free
Hmm.
houses that you can just pop in
For
there.
sure. For sure. And if you want to take that a little further, is use that in your rough draft phase. So you like manipulate it a bit and just use it as a baseline instead of using it as your end piece. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you then take that as that rough draft and fill it in, it'll be in your hand and your voice rather than Clip Studio. Like I know a lot of mangaka, like Japanese mangaka do that, but they have no time to do anything else. So they have to
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
I mean, I've seen them use straight up pictures that they just convert into line
Right.
art. I saw
Right.
that like a lot more recently because they're trying to really pump out quantity.
Yeah.
But it always looks much better when it has your own personal touch on it.
Absolutely. I agree. You can really create that mood.
So, how long have you been doing comics, manga? Did it all start with Scatheless?
No, actually, Scatheless was later. I actually started about 2015, 2016, flirting with this. I was a painter previously, and it's too messy, it's too stinky. I wanted something else, so I tried this. And I had another series, Saros, that I wrote and drew myself. And because I didn't know how to write, the woman who wrote Scatheless knows how to write. Um, I was learning along the way, and I was meandering in my learning, and like, I'll figure out the story. It'll come together. Well, it never came together. So it's like after the first volume, it kind of just turns into chaos. So she's going
Mm-hmm.
to go back once we're finished Scatheless. She's going to go back with me and look at it, um, but it did give me space and time to learn how to draw, how to do sequential art, and then when I transitioned to Scatheless, then I had to learn to work with a person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
else's
for sure.
writing, and for about the first chapter was actually only supposed to be 20 pages or less, but it ended up being 30 because she wrote a really dense chapter, and I just completely decompress everything, so it opened up into 30 pages. But since then, slowly we've learned to work together, so she'll write a little less and leave some room for me to do some big spreads and stuff like that. So it took a while, but we worked it out over time. So it'll be interesting to go back to that old story and work on it with her. So it's been a few
Yeah.
years. I have maybe 8 books in total in various stages of print.
Oh wow, that's a good bit. It's a good
So
portfolio under your
yeah.
arm.
Yeah. So, and I've even
I
messed
always
with
say like
publishers.
yeah, I always say working with other people is like its own specific kind of skill.
It really is. It really is. And both people need to like really figure out how to come together and halfway
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like the writer learning how to work with their artist's style and the way they work, and vice versa. Um, I cut a lot of her cussing. She has a very, very bad potty mouth. I'm like, you're only allowed one F word per chapter, maybe. Because I don't like it. I don't like it in print. It's different than when you're yelling at someone. But she loves it. So we compromise. When it's really
Yeah.
needing to underline something, then we'll go there.
Yeah, as I'm like doing a lot of like more teen oriented comics, I'm
Mhm.
kind of like I'm always wondering how much is too much and like how far can I push that envelope.
Right.
I never want to like make anyone who's reading my comic to be like super uncomfortable, you know, to the
I've
point where
definitely
they want to stop reading.
I've definitely read a few where I'm just like, all right, this is too much. There's like 3 F-bombs in every speech bubble. I'm like, I can't, all I can
Yeah.
see, I can't even get into the story. So it's just like, I like to use it for emphasis. And so if there's a like really serious moment, like and the character's cussing, like, it's serious rather than just being like every page because we're edgy or something. I don't know.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of new writers out there who have the temptation to go full edgy and make their own berserk.
Oh no. That wasn't his first thing. Like get the bad stuff out of your system and then throw it away. And then make yourself right with that. Like don't allow yourself to do that. You gotta because it'll make you work harder to get around like swear words and stuff like that. Cause I mean we have an international audience now. And then you'll get better because if you go back like these big series that everyone tries to be, that wasn't those creators' first thing. You got to get there.
Yeah.
You can't just wake up and do Berserk. I don't even think Mira woke up and did Berserk. you know
Yeah, I mean, like, one of my first comics was actually a kid's comic. So it was all about, like, restraining the edginess.
Absolutely. And then you have a wider audience too. If you're if you're going to an extreme like that, you really narrow in who can and who will want to read your story. Like
Yeah.
the amount of times I accidentally read an adult novel versus like a teen novel, it's like they went, oh, this is for adults, therefore I have to swear as much as possible and have sex scenes in every chapter. And I'm like, really? Give me a teenage novel, please, where we can actually have a story.
Oh, man, some of these young adult writers, they just irk me so much.
Yeah, that's crazy. But
Well,
it's
I'm
even
sure
worse in
everybody
adult
knows
ones.
that already, but... Yeah, it is. It's
The
even
adult
worse.
ones are worse.
It's just more edgy, but also more immature.
Yes, yep. Because they have free reign. They don't have to work harder to make it better.
Yeah. So this is something different. What is this project?
This was okay. So, with coming to the end of Scatheless and then working and having my little magazine not work out, I've kind of got to a place where I want to try something that's my own because I set Sarah's aside, even to the point where if she doesn't work with me on it, I'm gonna have to set it down. Because like reworking this older project, it's like gonna be like being caught in a bear trap, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I've worked with her a while. I feel like I've learned a lot about writing from her, and I didn't used to work from a script. So this time I'm like, okay, I'll write a story and write a script, just a short little one. That'll be maybe 50 pages, and I sent it to her, and she's like, yeah, this kind of works, and polished it up, and now I'm starting to draw it. And actually, since having my job, I've met a woman who, oh my God, I don't even know how she exists, but she would make a great character in here. So now I've got to write her in. I may even change this lead character to be her because it'd be a lot more interesting.
She's too interesting to not have in the comic, huh?
Oh my God, she's crazy. Like she's working on rebuilding her life. She was in prison for pimping hoes and making and selling meth.
Oh
And
my
one day in
goodness.
one day in prison, she's tanned and she's got the long nails. She's great. But one day in prison, her son, who was like 8 at the time, was like, "Hey, mommy, who gets your body when this kills you?" And it cut her so deep. She's like, "I need to turn my life around." And now she's on the straight and narrow, doing really good. But she's got all that experience, and it makes her a really, really interesting personality. So I'm going to draw on that a little bit. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Rather than this character is really quiet and shy, and a part of the story is her stepping out and being brave and doing something. And whereas this one, it might be her fighting it and then finally allowing herself to do the thing. So I think it'd be
well,
interesting.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you got to get out in the world and see and interact with real people so you can get ideas for characters.
Yeah. Real world inspiration is definitely on the top number one of my list of where I would recommend people get inspiration from. A lot of people who get inspiration from things that they've read recently. Not that that's a bad place by any means. Of course, it can always inspire you of what kind of story you want to write. But a lot of the times, I find that people will take inspiration from a story and then just copy the story almost completely, like just rip it off, you know?
Yep. And again,
So
if you're new, do it and get it out of your system, throw it away, start again.
Yeah.
You know?
Right,
you'll have what you learn. Get it out of your system. You got to do it. But you'll have some experience from that and maybe some more cooked and filtered information and ideas, and then you can go out and leave your basement, go see people, just sit in a cafe or sit in a bar and observe people, get a vibe for people, and then reapproach your characters, and they might be more interesting to read. If you're just copying someone else's cartoon, it's like a photocopy of a photocopy. It breaks down, and you don't get the real connections to the character because they're not real. There's nothing in it. It's just a copy of a concept.
Yeah. And I think that you need to put your own unique experience and perception into what you do, so that it kind of like imprints on who you are and how you write and how you draw even. It all goes back to, like I was saying before, about like the 3D models. Then you sketch over them, and then you add your own like interpretation in the line work.
And to be transparent, like this really detailed, like high detail, in the base stage, like when I first started. Hey, thanks, Smiling Dog. Is
they like your art.
Certain amounts of it, I'll take a photo, mess with it, and adjust it to get kind of this like creepy vibe, maybe low down or whatever, and then trace the gross details, right? And then get rid of the photograph, and that's my rough draft, and then I go from there. So your final item is not traced, but you still get this high detail accuracy, and it looks better. But you're not cheating all the way. You're still putting in the work. You still have to put in the vibe and the details and stuff like that. And you can adjust it how you want. But it gives it a really good foundation.
Yeah, like one of the reasons why I was so terrified about drawing backgrounds for so long is because I didn't have perspective nailed down very hard. I still don't really. Yeah, it's difficult.
I suck at it. I can't
really
do it.
Confusing.
So I cheat. I do other things, and I have skills in other places, so I just cheat to do that because it just never works for me.
Yeah, but like 90% of the time when I'm using a reference, it's mostly just because I'm trying to get the perspective kind of right.
And I'll do that too.
I'm hoping that like as I am going forward with creating book 2, I'm gonna do more detailed backgrounds. Right now, like I guess Horizon Quest was like my first step, but those backgrounds are terrible. Reaper is now my first step, and then totally Reaper book 2 will be the next level up. I'm hoping.
Right, you'll level up every single book. Like I think the idea is every 55 pages you level up a little bit, and you'll see it. And like I said, I've got 8 books in various stages of print. So if you look at the art. The original art, I did correct some of it from my very first volume to it kind of got actually better and worse at the same time. Same with 3. I think 2 was the worst one because I was in it was a lot to keep doing, and it became too much. But you at the same time you can see the improvement. So by book 4, there's a dramatic improvement in the artwork. And then I switched to scatheless, and it's like a whole new thing, you know, this far more impressive artwork than my very first book, and that this is going to start on a better foot than scatheless started on. So after all this experience, I've started trying to tell younger, newer artists who want to do a book series, make it short. Do your first few short. Don't tie yourself to one piece. You don't need to, right? You can capture readers and they'll stay with you if they love your creation and your work and your voice. They'll read your different stories. So do maybe 30 pages, 50 pages, and then expand out from there, you know.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
tie
really
yourself down.
grateful that I started off by doing one-shots, because
Yes,
that way
very good idea.
I could practice telling a complete story without the full commitment of being chained to a project that I don't like.
Right. And then you can start your new story with everything you learned from the last one. And then your readers can pick and choose what they read. Because I also realized by being a reader, and when I was trying to start that magazine, I was going around and reading and looking for content to add and artists to promote. And I found a lot where the first few chapters are terrible, especially the first one. But you have to slog through to get to the more current stuff that's good. And so many of them, I wanted to tell them, just let it go and start fresh. You can be the same characters, the same story, just like it's like Shippuden, do a Shippuden, you know. And I came to that with my own story. It's like I've had to stop, and I don't know what we're gonna do with it. We'll see. But it just give yourself somewhere where you can just get off and start a new one. It can be the same world, just a new story, or it can be something completely different. I did a one shot of Mothman with a scatheless writer. It was like 30 pages or something, very short, a lot of fun. Then it was done. We can move on, you know.
Yeah. So. And that's a great reference point for like that level of skill for you to compare in later books that you did, for sure.
And you can experiment too. You can try something in your, in this short story, and then if you don't like it, you don't have to stick with it.
Yeah. I'm wondering do you have your paintings on your Instagram too? Or is it all your manga art?
I don't know. I might have them
just
on my
because
computer.
I'm curious about what your paintings used to look like.
They're actually... Hold on. I'm going to move my camera, and it's going to be a little nauseating. This? Yes, that's actually
this is amazing.
That was when the cathedral burned in France.
Oh,
I was inspired to include it. Notre Dame, yeah. Oh. But this is Saros. This is my previous series, the 4th book of my previous series. Love the art. Love doing backgrounds.
Amazing. Yeah. You got sick contrast, too. I really struggle with contrast.
I really struggle with color, so there you go.
Yeah,
color is
I'm okay
so
with
hard.
Color, but contrast, my mind does not think in black and white.
Mine doesn't think in color, so it's really hard to try to do stuff in color now after working in black and white for so long. But if I move my camera, one of my paintings is actually behind me. Let's see. Earthquake. See that guy?
Oh, I see.
I got 2 paintings back there. If I get out of the way.
Cool.
If I lift this up, maybe. Here we go.
Yeah, those are super awesome.
Thanks. And those are in oil, and I hate oil now.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I got... Oh, let me show you one more. One more earthquake.
All right. Whoa.
If I can get my camera to work. See, there's a couple more.
Yeah, very neat stuff.
And then some birdseed or chicken feed. Because of course. So, yeah. And that's, I had been years ago, all through my 20s. I'd been working on a project where all the artwork was on small canvases. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I want to break out and do my own thing, because it was all for somebody else's prompts. And so I just got some fabric and stretched these and went to town. But I didn't take the time to learn how to do oil properly. So I ended up hating it. But now it's translated to digital, where everything I wanted oil to do, digital does. So we're good now. But they got me
Yeah.
started on my first comic because I was like, okay, this is too much. This is too big. I had them displayed somewhere, and I was talking to people, and I felt like I needed something more approachable that you could kind of digest easier and stuff like that. So I decided to give manga a try, and here we are. So
Yeah, I mean, been working out so far.
this is where I used Google Maps to walk around Dublin.
Yeah,
The
I
writer
can
said
kind of see that now.
someone at a show recognized the bridge, but said it felt more like Junji Ito. So I did
Yeah,
the
the
same thing. A
Inking
lot of
style.
like basic tracing. Obviously, I didn't trace every freaking brick, but like a basic tracing for the roughest draft, and then do a draft over that, and then draw it in. So you still have your own hand, but all the information is there.
Yeah, it looks great.
And then from where I went to the city for Mothman, and now I feel like I've been there. Like my neighbors just visited it. I'm like, I feel like I was there, but all I did was walk around.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna get into Sarah's my original project, which is
Right,
very
yeah.
different visually. Where Scatheless is like Irish horror, this is more. There's some South American, there's some Turkish, there's some Japanese mixed in there,
A little
and
bit
some
of
hoarding.
everything. Yeah, I was
Like
looking at this page and I was like, oh
this
my
is where
goodness.
I think this is where I really started to enjoy backgrounds. I think it clicked there. And
Yeah,
he's a
this
mess.
definitely comes off to me as someone who enjoys doing backgrounds.
Yeah, it was fun. And I hated doing crowds until I did a crowd in the same volume. And it's probably further down where I hated them. And then I just went for it and actually made like little scenes throughout the big crowd. So it broke it down more. Yeah, here on the
Yeah, I
far right there.
see.
It's just all
Yeah, that's
these
another
little
thing
groups
I'm
of
not a huge
people
fan
doing.
of drawing.
I wasn't either, but as soon as I broke it down, it was actually kind of fun because you got to like write all these little moments happening with all these different people. And that really made it
Yeah.
easier and less intimidating than just, oh my God, I have to draw a crowd of people. It was a lot of fun.
That's a good way to look at it, actually.
Because this whole chapter is like at this festival, so there's several pages of crowds, and it could get really boring too, just drawing stickmen or whatever. So I put in a lot of little moments and had a lot of fun with it. So I can't quite let go of the story because I had so much fun at this point. So we're gonna see if we can like keep the artwork but adjust the writing a little bit and the story a little bit, just to give it so it streamlines and you have like a concept you can follow versus being all over the place.
Yeah.
This was a short that I did for Go Back Down. The Tezuka in 2020.
Oh, this.
Yeah, go further down. There's some pages from it because I was like, hell yeah, that sounds fun. And it was a good 55 pages. And I was like, I'm gonna pull out every trick I have, everything I have learned, and I'm gonna really try to throw it all in there. So, but that was a lot of fun. It only got to the second round, but it was a lot of fun.
I mean, looks good to me.
Yeah, I still like it.
Yeah. And, you do a lot more than a lot of other people I know who, like, always say that they want to do art or always say that they want to do comics, but, they don't really do anything with it.
So really, they don't want to. They just like the idea of wanting to do it. You got to actually
Yeah.
butt in seat. My first book, it was really difficult. I'm sure you found with your first story, it was really hard to actually sit down long enough to do it. You have to like make yourself do it every day. Something, just do a page or something. But as long as you're sitting in the same place every day for at least a month, then it'll be easier. And as soon as you sit down, you'll actually click in and away you go. No problem. Which is how I ended up getting faster and faster.
I have kind of a method of like holing away at certain points in life and then just like doing a bunch of drafts in like just a couple days.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit more introverted, so I think it just like comes naturally to me to just like be alone in a room and just work.
But you don't want to do that for too long.
Yeah.
Trust me there. Then you get depression and anxiety and it's bad.
Yes, because at the end of the day, humans do need to be social at some point. Otherwise, it affects your brain.
Yeah, it really does. And that's why I ended up going out and getting a job. It was supposed to be 2 days a week just to get me out of the house. And here we are. 40 hours. I guess I did too good and they promoted me. That's okay. I see a lot more characters now and get a lot more ideas.
Yeah, I guess so.
But not as much time to draw. Maybe when it's not so hot, because I work outside a lot. As you see, I'm sunburned. Can't tell the difference between me and my hat. When I get home, I don't really want to draw. But maybe over the winter, it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah. Whenever, man, we've been having really humid, hot weather lately. But usually, I like to go out and take a walk every now and then. Or
nice.
If it wasn't like always raining or always super hot, I would do it every day. But it bothers me when I can't get like a walk in, and when I force myself to do it anyway, even when it's like 100-degree weather outside, I come in and I'm just so burned, my skin just hurts and I'm exhausted.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh wow, I never want to do anything ever again now.
But at the same time, you're like, all right, let's draw.
Yeah. Well, like part of the reason why I like taking walks so much is because it kind of pulls me away from social media and other distractions that really mess with my head, and it lets me just chill in the oxygen and let me think about my story or my next book or whatever art piece I want to do. And that is so helpful for me personally to just be able to do that. But then, of course, when it's like too darn hot outside, it does the exact opposite. Where it's
then you gotta come back in and get back on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like because I've been working, so since April or so, I haven't been on the internet really. So it's been nice to be away. And then recently, I busted out a few pages of this. I had to do some art. I did some artwork for work. I made a donation box it's a pet week, and we got like lots of puppies and kitties that need adopting, and we want donations. So I did some artwork for the box, which meant I was on the computer for a few days, which meant I was on the internet for a few days. So I got the full flood of all the internet crazy for a few days. I was like, oh, I didn't miss this at all. But it is what it is.
Yeah, social media, it's a blessing and it's a curse. Honestly.
For sure.
I really like seeing like what other artists are doing. But like
I do too.
it really just does have a habit of like turning negative online all the time.
Very quickly. Right.
Yeah, they find anything that they can to complain about, and now it's my problem.
Right. Oh my God. And there are some artists who like that seems to be their whole personality is complaining. It's like, come on, you're not selling yourself very well here. Like, surely you're not like that in real life. You're just every time you have a gripe, you just type it out. Well, hit delete.
I try not to let my at least my other art focused social medias ever turn into that. I hate online drama more than anything in the world.
Right.
Obviously, I do like the negative reviews on YouTube, but that's about as negative as I get, I think.
But those are fun. And in weird ways, you get to have a laugh. And in some ways, you get a cautionary tale and maybe to learn something.
Yeah, that's my hope anyways. I have been accused before of being like just a negative Nancy. I was like, I don't know. I try to do positive videos too.
Give me something good to review. Then we'll be positive.
Yeah, right. I'll have to make room for some more manga and indie comic reviews in the future. I have a plan going forward of doing more like positive reviews. So we'll try to mix it up a little bit on the
Yes,
YouTube
balance it out a
channel.
little bit.
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
do the positive negativity sandwich.
Yeah, yeah, that actually works pretty well. I mean, like, granted, my other social media accounts are like usually always positive because I'm just talking about what I'm working on or
Hmm.
taking pictures of or screenshots of stuff.
Right.
Nothing too negative there.
That's
I
good.
don't retweet all the politics that I see, but I do see them.
I've been falling into that. I used to actually have a second account where I would do that so they wouldn't get mixed together. But
Yeah,
all I
yeah.
would get were it would just get inundated with bots, like boob bots, all the time, and I had to close it. And I'm like, I'll just get on here and click things, and whatever. Get mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely get it. For some people, I think they're a lot happier. For some other indie comic creators and artists out there, I think they're a lot happier when they don't have to do social media at all and they just have a
Yeah.
manager doing it for them. I think maybe I would be one of those people. I'm not really quite sure because I also like hearing. Well, I guess anyone would like hearing the motivative comments, right? Where they're saying, good job, you're doing much better, keep at it,
Right.
go get them, and
Right. Right.
all the
You
positive
suck. Get
stuff.
better.
Because I don't really know, like, I I feel like I'm a little bit self-blind to my progress a lot of the time. And I don't really know, like, is this okay? Is this better? Is this worse? Am I getting worse at art?
Hey, no,
and
I get that. I do that all the time. It's not just you. I'm
yeah.
like, so it's not until like something like this where I go on a stream and someone's like, "Hey, your artwork good." I'm like, "Oh, I did a good, cool." Or I send stuff
Yeah.
to my writer so that she can be like, "This is so cool," and that gives a good boost. Because otherwise, I'm like, "I forgot how to draw. Can we just forget this chapter?" Previous
Yeah,
photos.
exactly. Especially, I always say, like, one of the best gifts that you can give to an indie comic creator out there is a review. Just
Oh,
just to let
absolutely.
them
I think
know
so.
how they're doing, even if it's like just some feedback, even if it is negative. At
Positive,
least that they're
negative,
getting the
whatever.
feedback.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
I have a teacher. I like the way he gives his feedback. He's like, "That's great. Here's something that'll make it better." And I always feel it's like you're fine. You're not terrible, but we're gonna make it better. So here's how you can. Uh, but yeah, reviews can be good for that. I found if you get into watching too many especially negative reviews, I start associating myself with them, and my brain starts connecting my work with the complaints, and then I have to be like, wait. This is talking about somebody else's work, not yours. So take the advice, but at least don't forget that this is somebody else's work here, not
right.
yours.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because you might not be
Uh,
making the same mistakes, even if you can kind of see, like you can listen to it and be like, "Oh, I need to watch out for these things." Is you may already be, and I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I think people can like definitely project um, themselves onto reviews sometimes and being like, "Oh, this
Hmm.
is actually critiquing me." Oh no.
Yep, yeah. When it's not.
It's kind of like the same thing with whenever there's a crazy fandom over like some IP and
Hmm.
somebody doesn't like it and critiques it and they take it like very personally.
Right. It's like chill out, relax. You're good. You can do your thing. Let's
Yeah.
always be improving.
Yeah, that's all you can do at the end of the day. I guess speaking of, like, are you reading or watching any anime lately?
The only two that I've managed to squeeze in at the moment is, of course, One Piece, perennial. My husband and I always sit down and watch One Piece. And then, then the other day he fell asleep, so I turned on, oh, what is it called? It's something like Not Allowed in Another World or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, I just recently saw a trailer for that pop up on my feed, and I was like,
Well,
oh,
I
what is
read
this?
it and it was
Okay.
hilarious. Like I got caught up in reading it and it was good fun. So then it was fun to see it animated. And it's pretty much
All
the same
right.
thing, but
Yeah, that's
but
usually
it's good
how
fun.
how I figure out if I'm gonna get into an anime or not is if I've like already read the manga. I
Right,
like
and
to
it's
be as
fun.
updated as possible to make sure that they don't betray me in some way.
Right, right. Like
I've read so many series where the first few chapters are like a completely different story, and
mhm.
then all of a sudden it just like completely shifts around and turns
they
into a harem or something. You know?
they either got an idea or the editor was like, "Look, this ain't working. More ladies, please. Just do this with
Yeah,
it, and then you'll get to stay another week."
yeah, it's
Because at the
brutal.
end of the day, in tombs of manga, all they're doing is making it to the next week.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
that's pretty much
One
what's
Piece
going
is
on.
exciting because like we're heading towards the last arc in the
I know.
manga. It's crazy to think that we're like over 1,000 chapters, and now Oda's like, all right, I'm gonna end it soon.
He better.
So
We better
be
keep
prepared.
him. He needs to be kept in a glass case with bubble wrap. He's not allowed to die before he finishes. I'm sure he knows that too. I'm sure he wants to get it done and then retire.
Yeah, but you haven't read the manga for One Piece. You're on the anime.
Yeah, no, I never. I dipped in and out of it a little bit, but it's so much and it's too much. I don't have the, especially now, I don't have like, I can't focus long enough to read without falling asleep. So I just watch
Oh
it,
yeah,
And other
yeah.
ones are
I
just where
find
some of them are just where I got into them randomly online. Like Tokyo Revengers, I pulled it up to get and I sometimes I'm like, how do other mangaka deal with this problem that I'm facing, or this idea that I have? So I'll pull something up. The next thing I know, I've read through all the volumes. So that happens.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
when you got it.
I
Like Tokyo
find that
Revengers was a page turner, but the anime sucked.
I I think I read manga much quicker than I watch episodes.
Yeah, that's. I
I think
mean,
I'm
each
just a
episode is
natural
like
speed reader.
plus 8 chapters per episode, except for One Piece. So that's a
Yeah,
lot.
One Piece got a lot of filler in there too.
I think they have him at like 1 chapter, 1 episode. So, but he's been doing it for so long and is so successful. He gets a lot of wiggle room for things that others don't. He's a
Yeah,
he's a
that's true.
special fish.
But it is really interesting looking at Shonen Jump. So many different manga series are ending that were their big pullers, and now it seems like they're getting a little bit desperate, trying to look for the next big thing, the next
Hmm.
huge hit that's gonna like take their spot. Like we got like My Hero Academia out, One
Gone.
Piece out. They were trying to push Undead Unluck. That manga's ending too. Like everything's ending.
I'd be curious to
I
see
don't
how
know what
long
they're
it
gonna
is.
do.
How long before they're just online? Because all their successes now are coming from the website.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
that makes sense to me because I mean, I don't know what currently the sales of the Shonen Jump magazine are, but I remember that they didn't do super well in America. And eventually, like, there was the transition to, oh, just get the subscription on the app, because that is basically the new version of a magazine that you subscribe to. It's just the app that you subscribe to. Makes sense to me. But
I think that's probably where they're heading, but there is a bit of a cultural thing over there of this is the way we do it because this is the way it's been done. So it will take a long time for them to actually let go of the physical book, the tomb, but it does look like all their data is pushing towards the website and the app. That's where their individual successes are now. Jujutsu Kaisen came off the app, wasn't in Shonen
yeah.
Jump, stuff like that. So
No, it
we're
definitely
moving
makes
into the
sense. Like,
future.
even those magazines, like, they weren't really made to last for a really long time because they wanted you to buy the volumes next,
Right.
and
Right.
collect them and all the nice, look at the pretty covers, stuff that you wouldn't get from the magazine.
Right.
So, making looking forward into the future, I think it makes sense to just go all in on the app and then make most of your money selling the actual volume separate from the app for the people who want to collect it and own it in physical.
There you go. It makes a lot more sense. The overhead is different too, so you don't have all that printing overhead.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why people, including yourself, who tried to do a manga magazine in America. I think that's part of the reason why it doesn't usually work out, is because like people are already moving past that and looking for an app. And if
Right.
even if you're gonna like start a subscription service app, I don't really know how much it costs to like put together an app,
It's a lot.
but I yeah, I assume that it's up there. And then you also need like more content to
Yeah.
like kind of make it worth it, because people, if they can read like 5 one-shots on an app and then they're done and they have to wait next month to get more stuff, they might just cancel, you know?
All right. Like, what's the point? You got to have like more reason for them to be there. But by the time, because I think I did it for about a year, and by about the end, Global Comics was really picking up steam, and that's exactly what they are. They're just a place for you to put your comics. That's it.
Yeah, I
And
think Global Comics has like some pretty clever um, what am I looking for? Features. I think they have like really clever features within their website. I just don't see as much of a popularity poll with them.
yeah, they well, it's because it's just a place to put comics and manga. It's not like what word am I looking for? My words are gone now too. Um, it's not like a magazine where you decide what goes into it. Curated. It's not curated, right?
Yes.
Just you got to. It's just whatever anyone wants to read or whatever you want to put up there. Because I had built a website and stuff like that, and as you say, it's hard to like. Why bother going to someone else's website when I can just go here? And then when I found it, I was like, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel? You know. So what I did is made a front page. I just had it direct to Global Comics because they had all the infrastructure set up already by real engineers who know what they're doing, not me, who's trying to reinvent the wheel here. So, but they're a good platform, and they're always growing, and they're good people, and they really communicate. They're not off on some grand mountain somewhere. They have a Discord. You can communicate with them and talk to them, and they're really good. They do a lot. They do a lot for their community. We were
That's good to
gonna
hear.
once Mantle collapsed. I got in touch with someone who we were going to rebuild it in connection with Global Comics. But then you remember when like all of Canada shut down? They had no internet. Yeah,
Yeah, I
this
do
was
remember
then.
that.
This was then,
Ooh.
so she just vanished. And I didn't see her again for months, maybe a year or two. And she finally reappeared doing her own comic again. So,
Man. Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, I'm done. Forget it. It's not meant to be. But I got a
Yeah, I
lot of
feel that.
experience from it, so that's okay.
Yeah, so long as you can walk away with something, I guess. Even if
Yeah,
it's just the experience.
yeah, and I kept all the PDFs, so I've got 16 PDFs too. So there.
Sure. Yeah, I think people are getting more comfortable with the idea of selling digital products too.
And buying them.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
for
hard
sure.
part. It's everybody can sell anything or wants to sell anything. It's can you get people to buy it? Can you get people to pay for it and support it with money? Because unless you can get the electrical company to take likes, then you need money. Yeah.
Yeah. I've started to get more. I mean, like, most of what I read just to indulge in something before buying the physical copy ends up being the digital version. And I try to, like, use whatever host will give the creator the most cut.
Uh-huh.
And that it's not Amazon, as you can imagine.
No, no. As I know, I can completely tell you how it is not Amazon. But
Yeah,
Global
yeah.
Comics do give you a really good cut if you're charging. I wasn't charging, but you can paywall all or some or sell PDFs. They're working on you being able to sell books. So they do like they're wanting to make it to support the creators. But
Yes, and that's
you
what I
have to do the
really
part of
like about it. Yeah.
you just have to get the readers to read. So Do
Another
good
nice
work.
thing is they have this forum section where there will be, well, they'll have like open forums for people to post if they're an artist looking for a writer or a writer looking for an artist. And I think that is especially clever
Yeah.
because I very often will find all these artists looking for writers or vice versa, and they're coming to me asking me if I know anybody, but usually I'm like, not at the moment, but I'm
I don't
sure
know.
somebody will come up.
There's always someone, but
But
that's good to know. That's really good.
yeah, if they had a place where they could all just come together and like share portfolios and stuff, then I think we'd see even more indie comics out there.
And they're out there. It's just artists have a hard time sharing it and getting it to readers, and also convincing readers that take some time out of your Shonen Jump to read my thing. And sometimes it's good,
Yes.
sometimes it's not. So
And
it's
pretty
really tough.
please leave a review and share it.
Yes, give me a head pat, please. That's all I want.
Yeah, it is tough for sure. I think with comics it's a little bit more easier than novels. I'll say that much. But there's always that dedication that somebody feels when it comes to giving a new book a chance. Because they're not really sure if they're gonna like it or not, and if they don't like it, they might feel as though they've been cheated out of their purchase, and so they're
I've
a little
done
bit
that.
more skeptical to give it a chance. But I think that they need to give more things a chance, and if they don't like it, they just need to leave a bad review.
There you go, and then they can learn from it. But I remember when I first started manga, there wasn't really a whole lot of info out there yet.
I
Here
mean, there
now,
still
there's
isn't really
tutorials
that
everywhere,
much, but
right? And there was even less then. I think I found one person, and I forget her name. But so I went to amateur novelists to see their advice, and one of the advice was make your 3 novels. If you're doing a series, do 3 novels of it first, then promote the hell out of it, but commit to doing the rest if you're going to do more, because a lot of readers with book series like that, the novels, are like, I don't want to get into it if they're just going to quit after 2 books and then I never find out what happens.
yeah, that is another big part of it, for sure. It's very disappointing when you're following a series that just all of a sudden ends because either the writer lost inspiration for it, or maybe they're just not seeing enough return on investment.
Or they
It's
got
a
hit by
whole
a
thing.
car.
Yeah, well, not much you can do about that, but
Yeah, it happens.
it does happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to, when I started my first series, I was saying to myself, it's got to be something that I'm not going to get sick of like 2 books in. So I held back a lot when it came to deciding on something that I wanted to be like my main series that I focus on. And a lot of people make that mistake of just wanting to do the first thing that they make into a full series. And I can understand why. I think there is value to focusing on one type of thing. For sure, like if you're a specialist, then you can become the best person at doing a very special thing. But like you said before, you gotta give yourself time to be bad at something
Yeah.
before you dedicate all your time to being bad at something.
Plus, your life is going to change. Like if you're starting this when you're 17 or 18, you're like, I'm going to do 1,000 chapters. Well, very quickly, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, your life is going to change. It's going to change again. It's going to keep changing. So if you're committing yourself, especially if you have a group of people trying to commit themselves to a long, long, long series, it's not going to happen. Realistically, reality is going to come in, and they're going to get new jobs, they're going to get married, they're going to have kids, they're going to blow up their house or whatever. Something's going to happen. So where we were talking before about having shorter stories, even if it's in the same world where you can start and stop, like how anime kind of switched from an ongoing series to seasons, kind of
For
like
sure.
doing that, so you can stop and start and pause and flow where your ideas change, your inspiration changes, your life changes, you know, this. And it's because I've only been doing it since 2017 and it's been a lot of change, you know? So
Yeah, yeah. For sure. Man. What is the longest book like you think you've ever done? Like what's your
I've
high page count?
I've kept them all the same,
Okay.
actually. I do, if I do a book, I do 20 pages a chapter, and the first few I did 10 chapters a volume, so it's like 260 pages or something.
That's a manga size. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're up
Because,
there.
well, what I was doing at first, I was like, okay, what's already out there? What are people used to seeing? You know what I mean? What are they used to touching? What are they used to buying? What are they used to reading? So I was looking at, like, not just the artwork, but like the pre-press, the physical book itself. What size is it? How big can I get? You know, what other pages do they have? And all this kind of stuff. So I really took the time to figure out the pre-press and then kept them consistent. But since we did Scatheless, the publisher was like, can we make it 150? Which is actually your physical minimum for a book. Like for a book to feel worth buying, you don't want to go too much lower than 150 pages.
Interesting. Okay.
And apparently that's an industry standard with books. But because like with manga in the West, we're still like, we've mostly come out of comics. So we're still kind of like trying to figure that out. Like where are we between comic books and physical book, like paperback books? So 150 is your good minimum. But I
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
stop there, so I went to 250 instead.
it's an interesting fun fact. Like this is the longest that I've ever done, and you know, with the page thickness, I think it makes it look like a normal manga
Yes.
size generally, but it's only like roughly 118 pages. And I'm
That's still
thinking
a
that book two
commitment.
is probably going to be like shooting around more like 200. I think the second book is going to be longer.
I'll
But
believe that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the longest. That's the longest book that I've ever done. Right
And they
there.
took it's faster now because I've had the experience, but the first few books were a year project. Because
Yeah.
you not only have to do the artwork and the story and the writing and all that, is you have to do the pre-press. You have to prepare all the pages. You have to get them in the right order. You have to flatten them all. You have to do your covers and your other, because I put in other artwork. And, you know, if you have a little cartoon at the end or something, you know, you got to do all that. And it takes a long time. A little quicker now.
Yeah.
So maybe two a
It
year.
does get
now.
easier the more that you're doing it. Like my first campaign was like the most stressful experience of my life, but like as soon as I got it done, I had this confidence that I didn't have before of yes, I can print my own books and I can get it done.
Right. And I
think
felt
that
that
was
with
an
my
important thing to get.
it's really important, and each time you do it you get it again for something else, and you like level up a little bit each time. Though I wish I could say that with my first book, having that feeling you just described, but when I got that thing in my hand, my stomach dropped and I almost threw up and felt like eternal dread, because I had, instead of being like, wow, I did a thing, a whole bunch of stuff had gone wrong with it. Like one chapter was completely like inside out. It was just all these
Oh
kinds
my
of weird
god.
things. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. And it's already released. Other people got the book before I did. So if you've got a
Oh,
very, very first book, you've never printed a book before, definitely pay for the copy. I don't care if it's $15 and you're like, I don't want to. But trust me, it's worth
that's
it.
terrible. Yeah, who'd you
So.
get it printed with? I'm curious.
It was printed through Ingram, who like, I will tell everybody, print through Ingram, but you are the publisher. So I published it. So the fact that pages were wrong is on me. I read the proof and it looked fine to me on digital. But it wasn't, apparently. So maybe it would be good to have somebody else read it, look at it, make sure. But now they've gotten rid of their title cost. So you can put your title up for free. They have worldwide distribution. I have books in India, of all places. You know, and it's like, I think when you go through Amazon I was selling my book for about $14, and I would, if I put, you're supposed to put it at 55% off to stores so they can make a profit. I would get $1 back on it
Yeah.
because it was five or like $4.50 to print, and then you have all their costs on top of it. But for just Ingram, just one book, about what 250 pages or so, was about $5 to print, and you can buy a whole case. You can buy as many as you want. They'll just ship it to you.
Yeah. Sounds like a decent price for like
And it automatically
100 and
goes,
something pages.
and it goes automatically onto every website that they deal with, like websites you've never even imagined or thought of or heard of. It's all over the place. Walmart. So when I'm not saying this to jab because that would be too fun, but when I see things like Saturday, I mean like our books are on the website for Walmart. Well, yeah, mine are too. They just do that. The distributors just put it on everything. Kobo, Barnes and Noble, everything is just up there. And if you get the sales, then they'll put it in the store. If you don't have because Saturday got a actual publisher to deal with it now, so that's taken care of. But if it's just you, your shining face going through Ingram, if you can get people to go into like Barnes and Noble and buy it or order a bunch online, it'll go in the store. That's how you get books in stores. Or you go in and say, hey, will you carry my book? Sometimes that works.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. For sure, like local shops. Just be like, hey, book. You want to carry a local author? That's the skill
that's
check.
the ticket.
You got to call yourself local author to make it sound like even better, right?
Right. And if you're doing it by consignment, they're not really losing anything. So they might be like, okay, I'll give you some shelf space. But I've done that and sold like a book. So it depends. But if you can, if you have a dedicated fan base and like say Barnes and Noble, you can get people to go in and order it. Then they'll add it to their catalog because your book will be in the catalog every bookstore and most modern comic book stores get. They already have access to your book. The hole in the wall dad shops, not so much. They just go through Diamond. Diamond is a pain in the butt. But if you just go through Ingram, everybody else has it in their catalog. It's great. It's easy.
Right.
But you have to not mess it up like I did.
I've sold books in stores before. Not enough to really brag about it. Not nearly as much as on my main website. Most people just want to order it online, right? And, what are the chances you're going to see it in a store in the first place? I was thinking about maybe opening up like a retailer page so that people could also have the option to order wholesale maybe if they want to put it in their stores, but like not on consignment, just like pay for the books at wholesale price.
And if you're distributing through somewhere like Ingram, that's taken care of for you. You can either drop ship to someone, or they can, or like the store just gets in their catalog, or the library. I've had libraries do this. You just get on their catalog and order it. It comes to them. You don't even have to do anything.
You're right. Yeah. But yeah, in general, I'm not really sure how. I mean, people liked the authenticity of being in a store. I'm just not sure like how much that authenticity counts towards like actually being successful,
It doesn't. There's a nostalgia for creators who want to, it's kind of like wanting to be in Shonen Jump, you want to be in a bookstore. You feel like you're legitimate. But if you've got a website that's doing plenty fine and plenty of people are ordering from your website, and who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about it in general.
Yeah. And a lot of the time, if you build a large enough audience, companies will come to you because you've done all the work. You make it easy for them. They're like, oh, how about we, do your book for you? Well, it's already done, but here we go.
Yeah. We've also had a store lose our books before, which was really frustrating.
Amazing. Now that I work in a store, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, one of those things where they switch owners, right? And then they're boxing up all the old stuff and shipping it out somewhere. Who knows where?
Or throwing it out,
then
probably.
They're like, I don't know where it is. Sorry, I can't give you your book back. I don't know where it is. Yeah.
I think I have a couple of those in the wind somewhere, and it's like, oh well, whatever. It's like an advertisement cost. Don't worry about it.
I guess so. It's still a bummer, of course.
It is. Oh no, absolutely. I had a few like that, and I'm just like, whatever. I'm never getting it back. I can get more printed. It's just $5. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and speaking of advertising, I gotta look into like advertising avenues as I go forward with making this website into a le- its own little legitimate thing. Uh, but I'm not even really sure like where is the best places for advertising. It seems like it's always changing.
Yeah, probably. I have no idea. I'm terrible at advertising. It's like my
Oh yeah,
complete Achilles heel. I can't do it at all,
I
ever.
know even people who have marketing degrees that I know have no idea what they're doing with advertising. But
That
even
makes me
they are
feel a
not
little bit
super
better.
successful. It well, it's difficult because like the main avenue for advertising is social media, right? But it's always changing the algorithm. It's always changing the rules so that you can't take advantage of it.
Right.
And it's just this whole mess. Even if you're like paying them advertise my thing, it's still like the algorithm is still going to mess with it.
And it depends who you pay too. Like, I remember being at a book convention. I was like, I'll give it a try, whatever. And they had a lot of presentations, and it was so dead that I was like, I'll just go to the presentations. And they were telling each other to advertise on Facebook because they would make thousands of dollars, but they were putting in like 500,000 into advertising. And I'm like, this isn't adding up. Like, you're dumping a lot of money into Facebook for not a lot of return. So, I know I tried, when I first launched the website, my website, I tried paying for all the ads. I'm like, I'm going to do this legitimately and do it right. And it didn't do anything. Tried even in email blast. I think I just got like 3 people unsubscribed, and that was it. No one else opened it. So you're right. It's always changing. It's weird. Who knows what to build?
I also heard
Connect with
that
people.
Facebook and Instagram are doing worse and worse. For a long time, people were recommending me that Instagram was the place to be like advertising your art and everything. I don't think that's true now, especially, but I don't think it was really true then either. Instagram has a really weird pay to win type of
Yeah.
method with their algorithms. I like did another interview with an artist who was a big Instagram person, had a lot of followers, and could never translate them into sales because of
There you
how bad Instagram advertising is. They
And
really
you also
want you to
can't
like,
you
yeah.
can't like communicate with people. That's the thing I don't like about Instagram. You can't really interact that well because like you can't share anything. You can't like, I don't know. It's weirdly restrictive. So I've been using
Yeah.
Twitter and Facebook more. Facebook, I've not been on the computer, which is really weird. I'm like, great, I'm a normie now. I'm using Facebook to talk to my coworkers. Awesome. But normally it would be artwork seems to do really well on Twitter. Like you get pockets of people. Like Global Comics has a pocket of people that are all talking to each other, who are all people on there sharing their artwork to themselves. I guess I'm not really sure how you need to like break out of the bubble eventually. But there are a lot of people on there interacting, and YouTube is a big place for sharing your art somehow. And between the two, people seem to build communities, and that's probably more the way we're heading. I think is in community building and advertising that way versus just bombarding people with cigarette ads.
Yeah, yeah, it is definitely more important. I was looking into like sponsorships for advertising Burning Star right here on YouTube, right? I contact people I know and I'm like, hey, I'll pay you to do this thing, right? And yeah, I think that is like, I think sponsorships in general have a little bit more pull to them as far as translating into sales, just because it's coming from somebody else who has already like built up a community, who has
Right.
like trust with their subscribers. You know, it's like this whole different type of advertising where it's
Right.
like, oh, we trust me. This place is a good place to go to
Right.
and get your comics. You know.
Right. And especially if it's something appropriate that the audience is looking for. Because I don't know about you, but I found with like above a certain tier of people on YouTube is they all have the same advertisers. They all have the same
Hmm.
sponsors. I just go deaf to it. And I'm like, wait, where's the most clicked part on this video? Oh yeah, the end of the ad. Cool. You know.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's
that is
like, oh,
definitely true.
underwear, or whatever it is. People all advertise the same thing. But that is a more fun idea where it's your comic specifically. I think it's a fun thing that even though he's hated by a lot of people, Coffee Comics will you pay him and he will give you a fair review. The bashings are
Yes.
free, but if you want a fair review, you pay him and he'll give it a fair review, and they're fun to listen to because he is pretty fair about it. So I wish more people would do that. Maybe I'll start doing that if I have time.
Yeah, I
Just
was
paying
thinking
to
about doing
do
it
do
myself.
reviews.
Because there is a demand for that. There are indie creators out there who can't get anyone to give them feedback. So
Mhm.
they really do need that review.
But it's also an
Uh,
advertisement and an exposure, and they're fun to listen
yes.
to too. I think.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's that's definitely another method of advertising. And then you got like other YouTubers, like a more bigger YouTuber, Chulupa, who also did an advertised review for, I
Mhm.
think it was Apple Black. He
Mhm.
did like it's his normal style of video, but it's like a much longer one because he's doing a review of the entire
Oh, that's a
series
lot.
as like an advertisement to them.
Mhm. Ooh, that's a long review. I think Coffee
That's
does like a chapter
dedication.
or two at a time. You know what I mean? And really, if you got on there and you had someone go over 1 to 3 chapters of a story, you'll know pretty quickly if you want to go on and read it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think it is important with shoutouts and sponsorships to grab somebody's attention very quick. You convince them that it's something that they actually want to hear more about,
Yeah.
as opposed to like Skillshare or whatever like
Oh,
sponsorships people are
ugh.
like.
Yeah. I ignore those. I just go deaf. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, it's another Skillshare ad. Great.
yeah. Better help. Oh, geez, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you depressed while you're drawing? I got the thing for you. Yeah. They're all
Yeah,
the same.
right. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, maybe that's something to look forward to in the future. More people reviewing more indie comics being able to like get people out there to actually pay attention to their stuff in general. Because there's a lot of failings happening.
Mhm.
Some people are talking like bad about even like the manga industry itself because they're having this new problem of all these big series are ending. Who knows like what's going to be their next big hitter? There's also like the decreasing of the Japanese population, which in general is
What
just bad. But
what are there like 3 children in the entire country now? It's pretty bad for the comic market there. Even One Piece
it's
is on the
bad for the
decline.
entire country.
It
But
is.
yeah, yeah. And over in America, geez, we're barely kicking in the comic industry. It's basically like indie comics are keeping this thing
Mhm.
up, and Marvel and DC are just committing suicide. I don't know what's going on with them.
I'm amazed they're still alive. To be honest, like I was like, oh, I've been away since April. Maybe Marvel and DC died by now, but I guess not. But that
Yeah,
means there's a
we
whole market for indies. People are
yeah
still going to want to read. So the U.S. is in a massive market. So
yeah
there's plenty of
yeah.
eyeballs. It's just getting
I
your
think when
stuff out there and
Comicsgate Yeah, I think when Comicsgate happened, there was like a brief boom of people
Mhm.
checking out indie comics. And I think we're going to get another
I
wave
agree.
soon. I'm just trying to like hold out and try to ride that wave when it
I know.
comes.
I'm trying to find that wave. I've been trying to find that wave for years, but I agree that we're not quite there, but I think we're getting there. And there's like, even since I've been doing it, I'm seeing a lot more people doing a lot better stuff, having a lot more traction. So it's like the wave feels like it's building. So I don't, if we keep doing better, keep connecting with people and keep trying to build what like American comics and American manga, like what is it? I think it'll eventually go slowly at first, then quickly. But we're getting there, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
And
certainly a lot more on
I'm glad
YouTube.
to see. Yeah. I'm glad to see so many people doing their own thing. I wish them success in finding a bigger audience out there. There's so many great comics that I do read and I do give good reviews, but still, like, nobody knows that they exist. And that's,
Right.
like, really frustrating. Especially when everybody's talking about, like, the newest shitty DC YA that came out, or whatever,
Right.
is on people's minds. Little do they know, hey, look at all this good stuff over here, though.
Right. Stuff that's got heart and life, and people have something to say some of the time.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I guess we should be wrapping up the stream at this point. I can already hear the storm starting up again.
Send it here. We need it so bad. Send it here. Oh my god.
Yeah. So, why don't you run through your links, let people know where people can find you, and check out more of your comics, check out more of your social media.
Hey,
I'll be posting your link tree.
Thank you. I think I haven't checked the link tree in so long. I think I've kept everything the same, so it's all AKA_Zenko or just AK Zenko on like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Facebook's kind of weird because they stole away my account, but I'm there somewhere. And I do have a YouTube. Since I've been full time, I haven't been able to add to it, but it is something I want to try to work on in the future. So it's not dead. I will be back. It's just having the time to think about what I want to discuss and actually write a script and then film it. So
yeah, YouTube takes a long time.
Yeah, I put a fair amount on there, so there is some stuff on there, but we'll do some more later. Just once my job gets sorted out and calmed down, hopefully one day, maybe in the winter, I'll do it won't be a lot of videos, but it'll be something. We'll keep trying to do that because that was fun too. I kind of miss doing it.
Yeah, and I kind of miss seeing people talking about like their indie comics journey out there, because a lot of channels I used to follow have all kind of stopped posting slowly, and
it's hard to keep up with.
It happens. I get it, but
yeah, I'm gonna try to get back on there again. We'll see.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me for this Comic Talk Tuesday.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you everyone in chat for watching and
joining
in on the conversation. We'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.